Welcome to another episode of the Bourey Weird Podcast. I'm your main host, Alex. Call me Burry J or Burry. If you are a new listener, I cover pop culture, internet culture, social media trends, and real life topics. If you're new to listening to this podcast, thank you for joining me. I hope that you are having a good day. If you're not, then I hope that this episode puts you in a good mood. It feels good to have new listeners. There are no guests for this episode. It is just me by myself. Let's get right into this episode. I want to add a disclaimer for this episode. I'm not a counselor or a therapist. I'm not a cyber expert. I'm not a marriage counselor or a divorce lawyer. I'm not someone you should seek legal marriage advice on whether you're going to end your relationship or not. I just want to discuss this and bring some insight to this just because this is very debatable. I have generic information. That is all for the disclaimer. I want to talk about whether you should share your passwords with your partner. I feel that many people have been through this before. I don't want to sound childish and immature when I bring this up, let alone being shallow about this. I feel that people are going to criticize me when I express my insight to it. I will be talking about whether or not you should give your boyfriend, girlfriend your passwords, and if you do not give your boyfriend or girlfriend your passwords, does it automatically mean that you are hiding something? This is why I don't like to talk about this, even though I have not been in a long relationship, because I feel that people will knock down those who don't agree with giving their partners their passwords. Just because you don't agree with it, it does not make someone less better than you. It does not make someone less of a person. No one should feel bad if someone is expressing their views on this. I believe in making smart decisions. You have to think smart. Passwords exist for a reason. I don't take passwords lightly at all. I'm very old school on this particular subject. Every time I think about passwords, it does not have to be about social media. I feel that this is taken lightly as soon as someone has a boyfriend or girlfriend. So let me start the discussion. I brought up two questions. Should you share your passwords with your partner? And if you don't give your passwords, does it automatically mean that you are hiding something? I will say no. I don't agree with sharing your passwords with your partner. I don't believe that you are hiding something if you don't share your passwords. I would not share it if I was with someone, whether I'm married or not. You know what I mean? I'm very big on privacy. Just because you want to trust someone, it does not mean that you get to invade someone's privacy all you want. I will not give it to someone that I'm in a relationship with or I'm married to just because trust exists for a reason. If the first question from someone is, can we share passwords? Then I say no. I don't think that it matters whether or not you have been with the person for more than 3 years as long as you were not married. My thing is that if I am with you, then I don't want you to share your passwords with me. Just because you don't want to share your passwords with me, it does not mean that you have complete access to all of my accounts, especially my bank accounts. I think that people mix trust and invasion of privacy together. I don't like that at all. Trust and invading someone's privacy are completely two different things. Sharing is very important. Sharing your passwords is a no-no to me. People pretend that there is no difference anymore. Insecurity is very common in relationships. The last thing that I want to do is be insecure about my own relationships. I hate it when people define trust to be about going in on someone's phone. I don't find that okay at all. The way that I look at trust is that it should not be about checking who they have been talking to. Trust should never be about being around to see what that person is doing. Trust should work both ways as long as both people can agree and respect the boundaries of a relationship. Honesty is the best policy. I still stand by it. I'm not saying that it's okay to cheat, hide, and do sneaky stuff to your partner. I can't condone being untrustworthy and being unfaithful to your partner, especially if you have explicit photos on your phone. It also means communicating with someone that you should not speak to at all. I know that I don't do it at all. Tablets can be very personal too. You can create your own passcodes. If I know that I have to tell you something, then you need to know. I'm not going to tell you what I want you to hear. You can tell if someone is being manipulative. You can tell if someone is lying to you. If someone is going to tell you what they want you to hear, then it seems that the person is hiding something. It's not hard for me to be open with people. If I am going to be around a particular person that you need to know, then I will let you know. I need to be reasonable with you. I don't want to make excuses for being around certain people. Yes, we should communicate with people. If I have to go somewhere, then you have the right to know. Swapping passwords may be the new norm in relationships. It's common in relationships of the age groups such as 18 to 29 and 30 to 39. I don't know why it has to be the new norm. I just don't know why people think that it's okay. I don't know why sharing passwords in a relationship is a common trend on social media and in real life. Let's go over the subject about being with a particular person. If you can't trust that person, if you want to be with that person, if you feel someone is a shady person, then don't let that person in your presence. There are several people I know of who knows that sharing passwords is never a good idea. Just know you cannot cross those lines. When you are committed to someone, it's really that simple. You don't want to be with someone who is not going to change their ways, especially if the person has history cheating on many people. Let's say that person has a history of being very hostile, that is very toxic. You do not want to be with someone who is known for being toxic to other people. I'm not saying no one is going to be in a relationship because we hear many stories of people being toxic in a relationship. If you feel that the person is not loyal to you, don't be with that person. No matter how many times you check someone's phone and have their passwords, you're going to see nothing in their phone. You never know. That does not mean that someone will be committed to you if you keep checking someone's phone. That does not keep a person in a relationship. That is what I learned. Sometimes people who do the most are the same people who are considered the problem. It's not healthy to be too insecure. It's very disrespectful to be too sneaky. I don't care how creative you are if you want to go through someone's phone without their knowledge. That takes a toll on your mental health. This kind of behavior leads to a lack of trust. At the end of the day, the relationship is not going to last, meaning you will have trust issues. There was a psychologist who reached out to the HuffPost. His name is Ryan Howes. He said, it says that you don't trust that what your partner tells and shows you is who they really are. I agree with it completely. I feel that it leads to more trust issues and more fidelity issues. This therapist reached out to the HuffPost about checking your partner's phone and having their passwords. It is Kurt Smith. Kurt Smith said, when people sneak a peek at their partner's phone, it feeds secrecy and distrust into the relationship, both of which are likely to be the primary reasons the person is checking in the first place. So while this may seem in the moment as a good idea and justified, it only creates more of the problems that need to be resolved. I think going through someone's phone builds up more tension in a relationship. I feel that people do this for so many reasons when it gets worse. I think that it makes the person itself unhappy as well, the other person unhappy in a relationship. I don't find it healthy at all. I think that the biggest issue is people do not believe in true colors. That is why people share passwords. They deny the reality of who they are, especially when they should not be with these people in the first place. I feel that it backfires when people suspect that someone is doing something shady, therefore you find nothing. That person who is still in their old ways is not going to change. It does not matter whether you know or did not know about it at all. I think that sharing passwords translates to more anxiety. I don't find it healthy to have access to one's accounts, especially when your partner is not doing anything to you. I feel that people do not believe in patience. The last thing that I want to do is have anxiety when I'm with someone. It also translates to more doubt about your own relationship. I think that several young couples do not believe that natural things will happen without being concerned in a relationship. It is whether a person can be committed and faithful or not. In other words, they think that magic exists. It's not real at all. No one puts magic in your own relationship. They think that sharing passwords can give you all of the answers of your relationship. You're not always going to have the cleanest answers. That is reality. You can't control what kind of answers you will get depending on what is going on in your relationship. It does not say everything about your relationship, if it works out or it lasts for a long time. Why would you put your energy on someone that you believe is not committed to you? As an individual, you would regret missing out on opportunities when you had the chance to if you keep dwelling on why someone is not faithful to you. You will be less stressed and you don't have to worry about being cheated on. You can detect a cheater in your relationship without accessing someone's accounts on their phone. If I can, so can you. In other words, they want to make sure that someone is not doing anything that is completely shady and wrong. That is not how you change someone. You never know if you meet someone that has a history of cheating. Again, you can't change anybody at all, especially if people do not learn what they did that was wrong. Just because your one relationship ended, it does not mean that your whole world will turn upside down. I feel that several young couples share their passwords because they do not know how to deal with fallouts and breakups. I think that several young couples are afraid to admit that. In other words, they are scared to go through a breakup. I feel that people are afraid to admit that. That is keeping it real. Have these people been through breakups because they dealt with someone who had fidelity issues? In general, it's okay to have a break so you can reevaluate where your relationship stands. Do you want to be with that person? Do you not want to be with that person? Just because you feel that you trust someone enough to share your passwords, even when you're not married, it does not mean that you trust that person to have your passwords to all of your accounts. In general, having access to someone's email without knowledge is illegal. I don't know why couples think that it's okay. If it was family, I can understand if there is an exception for your family members to be your password managers because you feel that they are trusted. You rely on them. I understand that. How can you be committed to someone if you don't respect one's privacy? Even if you are committed to someone, all I can say is never register your accounts on other people's devices because you're just logging in. That is how I feel. I don't find it to be a simple trust to share passwords in a relationship if you know that someone does not respect your private life. You do not want to be considered a broken record if you choose to be with an unfaithful person. I don't think that sharing passwords changes a cheater. It does not turn a cheater into a faithful person. It does not work like that. I want to go over trust and communication. Why are they completely important in a good relationship? I just don't know why people have a hard time being trusted these days. Today, I still stick by it. I don't know why people do not stick by that idea when people are in a relationship. Once I heard about the common trend of sharing passwords in a relationship, I had an issue with it. I will not give you my email passwords. When I was young, very young, I was told that hacking someone's accounts is illegal. There is something wrong with it. I log out. It could be on any website, email, social media, or whatever website you are in. You don't need my social media account passwords, not my Instagram password, not my Facebook password, not my Snapchat password, not my Bacon account passwords, not my Zoom account passwords. That is what I was thinking. The knowledge of sharing passwords is wrong, never left me at all. When I go on a public computer and someone's accounts are logged in, I don't know why people think that this is okay. I'm not saying that not giving someone your passwords makes that person stay in their own comfort zone. In other words, people will become unfaithful to their partners if they don't want to share their own passwords in a relationship. That's not what I'm saying. Yes, we should be open to communicating with our partners. It makes the relationship healthy. You will feel good once you let everything out. I have nothing against it. I'm not saying that people should not be against it at all. I'm not saying that this is not right to be open with people. My thing is that you don't want someone to control your social life, your personal life, your mental life, your emotional life, your family's life. they can't control your privacy. I will not be with someone where they could delete my friends who are important to me. For example, Facebook, Snapchat, and Instagram. We all have friends that we usually talk to on social media. I feel that it could cause you to have more arguments when you are constantly going through someone's phone without their knowledge. I would never have dirty pictures on my phone. I would never have random images of people doing explicit things or people posing explicitly. I don't like to have lots of photos on my phone. I feel that the phone is the most personal. I don't have anything to hide. I don't have anything to hide on my computer. A computer is not the most personal. It can be personal. I don't like to have lots of photos in general because storage is very expensive, especially on an iPhone. You never know if someone has to send some important emails. You don't know if someone has to communicate with their clients. You don't want to ruin someone's job. You don't know if someone applied for a work interview. Someone could have emailed a manager, the same manager they met at a job interview. They want to say thank you and other details. I will give my phone to you in case of an emergency and convenience. For example, the battery on your phone does not work. Your battery just died. You don't have your phone battery charger with you. Your battery charger does not work anymore. You lost your phone. You need to track it. Those are primary examples of emergencies or conveniences. You don't know if people don't remember their passwords. I believe that changing someone's passwords is an all-time low. It's very disgusting to change their passwords without someone's knowledge. We all need security. You never know if someone does not remember all of their passwords. We all have a right to our social media accounts, email accounts, and other accounts. It's not fair to change someone's passwords when it does not belong to you. It's very wrong. I hate that people think it's okay to do these type of things. You never created these accounts in the first place. They don't belong to you at all. How can you consider sharing passwords as setting boundaries if cybersecurity means nothing to you? If you feel that you trust someone enough, always keep things to yourself. Yes, we all require space and free time for ourselves. That is part of being an individual. The relationship is not going to last if you don't respect the boundaries. People last long in relationships because both people can respect the boundaries. Someone can admit whether or not he or she was being faithful. It's better to tell the truth than to lie. There are people who don't like to tell the truth. Someone can admit whether or not he or she was being unfaithful. It's better to tell the truth than a lie. There are people who do not like to tell the truth. Lying is a major deal to all of us. Don't be with someone who cannot admit to anything and do not like to tell the truth. Lies make things harder in communication. I watched a video from a love coach on YouTube, and it was called "Should You Ask Your Significant Other to Have Their Passwords?" She made it clear that you have to respect each other's privacy. It puts themselves in a bad position. We are our own people. I can't agree with that. Let's get into why people do it or why people agree with it. I'm very open to discuss this part. I learned that this type of behavior is very tempting. People do it for convenience or for an emergency. I can't agree with it if it needs to be done. I said it before. People do this because several young couples see this as a level of trust. My thing is that I know how to trust someone, and I can tell if someone is a trustworthy, loyal person. I have the right to judge someone if I can tell someone has bad intentions, if someone is untrustworthy. One of them is not going through someone's phone by knowing their passcodes when it comes to building trust. Elena Pearson, spousal identity theft expert and manager of Best Company's identity theft blog, spoke to Bustle, an online women's magazine. She said, "I also think partners share passwords simply for a level of convenience. For instance, one partner might be using another's computer or Netflix more often than not. So giving them the password allows them to freely use their partner's accounts without having to constantly ask for the password." That's what she said. She also said, don't give just anyone your passwords. Make sure to take time to really get to know your partner and establish trust. before giving them access to your personal devices or accounts. Sharing can be caring if you truly know the person and establish ground rules. It definitely depends on the situation and the relationship at hand. I highly recommend you avoid giving out your passwords to a person you've known been dating for less than a year. I agree with that 100%. This was said in the article, when you're with someone long term, and especially if you live together, it can be tempting to share passwords simply for convenience's sake. But just because it might make things easier doesn't mean it's a decision you and your partner should make lightly, because it's not something that works for every long-term couple. Another person spoke to Bustle. That person said it really all depends on the couple's dynamics. Some people literally share everything and enjoy living that way, and some like having that part of their life which is separate from their partner. It is all about how the couple interacts and what they find is healthy for them. At no point should the need for privacy be the cause of any kind of strife. If one side feels the need to sneak around and spy on the other, they may have much bigger issues than mere lack of boundaries. That is all. I agree with getting to know the person when you are committed to someone. Don't share your passwords with someone just because you are attracted by someone's features. You may be into someone's features, but it's not good enough reason to like someone. Getting to know the person can get you somewhere. I believe that things can go anywhere if you are with someone that is good. I think that it depends on the person, who they are, and where they are in life. I agree with sharing things that belong to the both of us. If I'm not going to rely on you to change my passwords, then you have no right to change them. You're not added as a recovery email address. I do not agree with sharing things that do not belong to multiple people. We all need a separate life for ourselves. Just because it does not belong to you, it does not mean that you will have complete access to it. I consider it to be a lack of respect for someone's private life. I find that very absurd and ridiculous. That is not how a healthy relationship works. Just because it works to check someone's phone, it does not mean that it will work for everyone else. Everyone's relationship is very different because people deal with things differently. I always feel that the idea of sharing passwords comes off as very shallow and dismissive. I understand if it is about the level of convenience. Sometimes it gets tiring to ask someone their passwords. You don't want to keep asking their passwords, for example, to go on Netflix. If you can make it work, then so be it. Let's change gears because I already covered the temporary people subject. I want to talk about it a little more. I want to talk about why I don't agree with it at all. My point is that people are very temporary in your life. There are people who show their true colors because they are shady. This has something to do with not taking cybersecurity seriously. People can come in and leave when the door is open. An outsider is not exactly considered your family. I know that people in your family are not temporary. They are the people that will stay in your life permanently because you are related to them. My point is that there will be outsiders where people will not respect your cybersecurity. I find sharing passwords a dangerous thing to do in a relationship. I feel that trust issues are such a common thing, especially when someone in particular does not want to open up because that person may have a history of dealing with shady people. Someone that could have been controlling, it could be possible something must have hurt them that caused them to show they are huge on privacy. You never know what someone has on their phone, and that is why I do not agree with sharing passwords. You never know if someone was in a relationship or not. It could be something that caused the person to have trust issues. Something is very serious. I find it an issue when people do not consider the cons about temporary people in your life, and people may face cybersecurity issues. That person could be doing something very illegal. Personally, I would not want to give someone my passwords just because people do not know what apps I have on my phone and my bank records and my electronic passports. I have my password managers on my phone so I don't have to memorize them. It's more common than what people know of. I never know what someone has on their phone. That is why I don't like to go on someone's phone at all. It could have been a password manager that helps people memorize their own passwords. I have my own password managers. It is a lifesaver so I don't have to waste paper. You use a password manager, you save paper. If I can respect that you're not disrespecting me behind my back, then I can trust you. If you can respect that I'm not being disrespectful and being sneaky behind your back, then you can trust me. You never know if someone you have been with would do something to steal from you. I read the same article which came from Bustle. It was about sharing passwords with your partner. Her name is Pearson. That is her last name, and I don't know her first name. Pearson says, in my opinion, the cons outweigh the pros when it comes to sharing passwords. For instance, a partner could seem trustworthy at first when you give them your passwords, but they could easily use those passwords to commit identity theft, make unwarranted purchases, build up a large amount of debt, catch a virus on devices, and other things that are shady to do. All of which means that it's so important to remember to change your passwords right after a breakup just in case. Pearson said, it's very important that you change all passwords that you've shared with your ex. Do not wait to change these either. Immediately change these passwords. That is what she said. A person that you are or with could hurt your reputation. That is why people can't live too comfortably, especially when you think that someone you are with is trustworthy. That is why we have to check people, and going through someone's phone is not one of them when you know their passcodes and passwords. You never know if someone tries to go on the bank app or on your phone and steal your debit or credit card information without knowing it. My thing is that I don't want any access to your email accounts, social media accounts, banking accounts, and your other accounts if I'm with you. It's not like I will write an email and save it as drafts in your email account. It's not like I have to write your emails. If you're not able to, you are grown enough to write your own emails unless you want me to write a template for you. But I'll write a template for you on a separate digital document. You are grown enough to send text messages on your phone, make a template if you don't know what you're going to say. Write a script on what you're going to text and call. When you write a script, mean it. I tend to do it a lot. It's because I don't know what to say. You're always going to write stuff down. You are grown enough to make your own phone calls. I believe in the do-it-yourself action when things only belong to you. I don't want your money. I am not with you for money. I don't need to know how much money you have in your banking accounts. I don't need to know your routing number and your account numbers. I'm not going to ask you for your debit card and your credit card information. I have my own debit card and my own banking accounts. No, thank you. It is not like I want to be with someone who's rich. Do I expect you to be rich? No. All I want is to be with someone who has a stable job. If you are with someone and that person is with you without a job, chances are that person could be using you, especially if that person does not respect your privacy. The stories I hear about committing theft, leaking private videos, having access to people's emails accounts, deleting contacts off of people's social media accounts are horrific. If you want to have access to DLC content on a particular video game, on my video game console, please ask me. I will purchase it and it will download on my console. Do not use my debit or credit card and start buying DLC content on my console. I don't care if you're playing video games, whether it is Dead or Alive, Tekken, Street Fighters, or King of Fighters. I don't care what kind of DLC content you like. You will be in legal trouble, not me. I can put you in jail. That conviction is going to follow you for the rest of your life. Identity theft is a federal crime. I can never feel bad for someone to do Fed time. Once that person ends up doing Fed time, then it's hard for that person to be in a relationship. That's the truth. I'm not going to do Fed time just because I go on someone's phone and check if someone is cheating on me and I did something by accident. Someone could press the wrong button depending on what app or browser they are in. Who told you you can use my debit or credit card? When it comes to having a conviction, you will not be able to have student loans, home loans, and loans for cars. You are not allowed to travel because you will not get a passport. It would be less drama if you bought your own video game and you had your own money. Just play video games on your own console. You're not going to make me responsible for paying the debt that you borrowed. You're not going to submit fraudulent insurance claims and get away with it. You need to be punished for it. You're not going to falsify my relationship status and claim that we are married, especially when you take out loans in my name. You're not going to fake a marriage and claim that I am married to you. You are going to pay me what you stole from me. Karma will come back around and put a curse on you. Being toasted should be the last thing to worry about. That bothers me when people share passwords. I'm not saying that people's relationships are not going to last. That is the prime example that trust is a huge thing and people are temporary in your life. I find it very ridiculous. It's not about video games, it's the principle to invade someone's privacy. There could be a point in time where your devices do not work after catching a virus. Everyone needs to make phone calls. Everyone has a business on social media. People have to make sure that their paychecks are deposited in their banking accounts on time. Someone has to pay bills on time. Someone has to call their family members in case there is an emergency. It would be hard to recover from financial loss. I feel that you would not worry about changing passwords if you instantly cut ties with someone that is okay with sharing passwords. I feel that it's very stressful to be with someone who is fine with sharing passwords in case someone breaks up. Someone could open credit cards that were not intended by you. That is a lot of work to deal with. You will not be able to access your accounts because someone could change your passwords. Your ability to have a job is affected by your credit score. You can face employment issues for years. It could be months or years. That means someone does not respect your livelihood and your hustle. I will never take away someone's hustle. If someone is disrespecting you by using you for money, chances are someone is hurting your hustle and your livelihood. I don't respect people like that. I looked up this article about cybersecurity and your partner going through your phone. It was on Science Daily. The professor from the UBC spoke out. His name is Ivan Beschesnik. He said it all comes down to who you allow to use your phone, whether you trust them or they trust you, and what the parameters for your relationship with them are. So I know what he is saying. Again, it could be anybody you allow in your life. You do not want to be homeless because of your partner's actions. I don't find it fair at all. If you can prove that someone is financially hurting you, karma will show up on their doorstep and it will hit them where it hurts. I feel that we are in a time period where people forget every person you meet is an outsider. In addition, they are temporary. That is the part that sucks. Always keep up with your cybersecurity updates on your devices and your accounts. Even if someone was able to get a full refund of unwanted purchases, it does not change what someone did. I do not think that it would make a difference at all if a refund was completed. There are good reasons why people download the banking app or third-party payment app, and it's convenience. No one has time to go on their laptop and log into their banking accounts. No one has time to go look for their banking documents and find their passwords to check their money. I have my banking app and the PayPal app installed on my phone. I would do research about sharing passwords in a relationship. At first, I would be depicted as irrational or crazy to not share passwords in a relationship. Once I went through forums such as Reddit, I would see that several people admit they will never share passwords with their partner. In other words, it's not a good idea to share passwords in a relationship. Once I read that people would never share their passwords in a relationship, I was relieved that I'm not alone in not wanting to share passwords in a relationship. At least I'm not being mundane about it. I'm very glad that I'm not over exaggerating it. I think that we are in a current time period where people expect other people to be open about everything. I believe that it should not be the case, especially if you met someone recently. I do not know why people love to be public about every aspect of their life. I always stay on the cyber expert side more than the young couple side with sharing passwords for some reason. I'm very huge on cybersecurity. At the end of the day, you are the only person that has full control of your own finances. You have your own phone, worry about your own passcodes. You have your own emails, worry about your own email addresses that you own. You have your own social media accounts, focus on your own pages. It is illegal for someone to have access to your banking accounts. Financial institutions do not play when other people have complete access to other people's banking accounts. This is another reason why I am against sharing passwords. it can be detrimental in your social life. I want to go in depth about who to be friends with on social media. People have a friends list on their social media accounts. I'm not saying that it's okay to control who's friends with who on their social media accounts. That is not how you build trust with someone you are committed to. If you are friends with a particular person on your social media accounts, then I suggest that your partner gets to know them. I mean friends that you are close to. I find it excessive to control someone's social life by dictating who they should and should not be friends with unless there is an exception. My thing is that if it is someone that your partner does not get along with, then it's a problem. I also want to mention that you should never be friends with your exes. I find it very weird and awkward. Exes are different stories. I also find it disrespectful to your current partner because these people should be left in the past. You do not know if these people will respect your own relationship. You never know if your exes will be actually happy for you because you already moved on. It is actually a problem with your partner unless your partner feels otherwise. Someone could go through your phone without permission and delete some people in your contacts list. I think that it is important for your partner to know your friends, especially if you are around someone of the opposite gender and you have friends from the opposite gender, not to be stereotypical. Several females do not feel too comfortable for their man to be around several females. I don't mean all females. I actually do not have an answer on why they feel that way. I always noticed it in the past. I can feel real tension. It's not good tension at all. They are very quick to want to know who you have been around, how many girls you have been around, and how did you know these people. I feel that if you want to know someone's friends, then ask them if you want to get to know them. Their friends could be a lifesaver. I believe that it helps when your friends know about your relationship. Their friends could be a lifesaver. I believe that it helps when your friends know about your relationship. You never know how much they want to help you. You never know how much they want to see you happy with your partner. I don't think that it will hurt to meet these people in person. I have to respect that you have a secure private life. We need to have a stable relationship to make ourselves more secure. It's important to look out for your partner. I will introduce these people to you. You have the right to get to know them. It's different than to control who they should and should not speak to in real life. I also see this behavior very abusive and very controlling. I also see it as very manipulative. We are allowed to have friends as long as it's someone that would be happy for your relationship. I feel that people who ask for their passwords forget about the individuality part. It does not exist anymore. It bothers me because we are allowed to be our own person. I feel that is what the world is about. If people are not happy with who you are, then don't be with that person. Do not be with someone that is not into you. You have to respect who I'm friends with and who I'm not friends with. I have to respect who you are friends with and who you're not friends with. That is why it's important to know about your partner's social life. I just had to express what I had to say. People are going to disagree with me. That's fine. I don't think that I will be single for the rest of my life. I don't know. Time will tell. I cannot make conclusions in the future. There is a reason why people say never tell anyone your business. I will stick by it for the rest of my life. That is the primary example why I am against sharing passwords in a relationship. It does not change how I feel about being against sharing passwords because I always see the risk behind giving someone your passwords. I already got the chance to see someone's point of view on why sharing passwords would not be an issue. I get it. As much as it's hard to talk about, in case of a breakup or divorce, it will take lots of work to change your passwords and all of your accounts that you're registered in. It's very stressful. I would be mad at myself for going through this stress. That is the prime example why people should carefully choose to be with someone in particular. It should never be a common trend on social media. I'm not controlling anyone's lifestyle. I feel that the discussion about sharing your passwords with your partner is very debatable. It does not have one exact answer. If you don't feel comfortable sharing passwords, then don't feel sorry for saying it. I hope that you stick by it. Always prioritize security in your life because you are the one that has full control of your life. In addition, you are the one that has to secure your own life, leave a lock in private aspects in your life. I can't force someone to stick with a stance whether or not you are fine with sharing passwords. As much as it's hard to talk about sharing your passwords in a relationship, people need to look at the real consequences. As much as it's hard to talk about sharing your passwords in a relationship, people need to look at the real consequences when something drastically happens in your relationship. Again, if someone does not want to respect my privacy, especially when I have a passcode on my phone, I will dip out. I'm not going to look back on it at all. Maybe people should do the same if someone does not respect your privacy. Again, it's not about me having secrets and having something to hide. I can prove it to you that I have something in my phone. I can prove it to you that I have something in my phone or I have nothing in my phone. Overall, there needs to be some respect on privacy, social life, and boundaries. I'm not going to look back afterwards. I'm not knocking anyone if they want to agree with it as long as they know that their partner is very trustworthy. All I'm asking is to be smart about it. If you're fine with sharing passwords in a relationship, then I don't know what else to say to you. All I can do is express my stance on why I don't agree with it. What I can take away from this entire situation is that people do not realize why this is so wrong. There are legal consequences when people log into people's accounts. I find it very disgusting. I wish that this hacking culture would shut down. If you feel that you're in a situation where someone is controlling you and invading your privacy, all I could say is leave. It's not worth it to stay with someone if they want to share every single aspect of your life. It's not worth it to stay if someone wants you to share every single of your passwords because that weakens your private life. That person could be jeopardizing their own private life. I don't think that you will look back for leaving. Don't forget to have moral support from people because it saves your life. You have people that genuinely care about you. I don't want you to doubt yourself. Their actions could affect your future financially because someone could be spiteful. Greed is very common when people steal stuff from you, including money. If you're someone that lives in your own home, but your partner does not have their name on the lease, do what you can to get that person out of your home. I feel that it's dangerous to have someone live in your home and they have complete access to your phone. I have an update relating to this podcast. I will be starting a merch line for the podcast when I am very consistent with it. I just don't want to start a podcast when I'm being very inconsistent with it and start a clothing line. I am taking this podcast very seriously because, again, I like to talk about other things. I will update you guys when I launch my own merch. I appreciate the amount of support I have for this podcast. It makes me super happy. It means a lot to those who are listening to this podcast, especially the new listeners. Thank you to the current and new listeners for playing this episode of the Bourey Weird Podcast. I will do more real discussions about real life situations. Hey, I can have more hypothetical questions to discuss for the podcast. I have more ideas coming on the way. I always form more ideas to record on the podcast. Please email me what ideas I should do based off of the topics that this podcast covers. It means a lot for me to hear these ideas. To the new listeners, please subscribe to this podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, including other listening platforms listed below. Please follow this podcast on Instagram and YouTube. This podcast is available on social media. I will see you guys in the next episode.